The British Columbia Institute of Technology acknowledges that our campuses are located on the unceded traditional territories of the Coast Salish nations of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gina Tang, and here are your news updates through 3 p.m. BC Conservative leader John Rustad says Brent Chapman, who is running in Surrey South, has apologized for his posts describing Palestinians as, quote, inbred time bombs. Chapman says in a statement that he is offering his, quote, sincerest apologies to everyone hurt by his post from 2015. He says the comments do not reflect who he is today. Rustad says he found the comments, quote, offensive, but people make mistakes, and he believes voters are looking at actions, not words. Rustad also told media that NDP leader David Eby is a, quote, pathological liar who is indifferent to the issues facing people in BC, while Eby told media at a campaign event in Coquitlam that a candidate who engages in hate speech should be fired. In other news with John Rustad, he has clarified his story about seeing a man dying of a drug overdose on his way to a televised election debate. Rustad told Tuesday party leaders debate that he saw someone die, quote, from an overdose on the corner of Robson and Hornby Streets in Vancouver. Later, he told a news conference that he watched first responders, quote, pumping his chest as his ambulance arrived. The BC Coroner Service says it has no record of such an event in the last 2.5 weeks at the location initially given by Rustad. Rustad now says on social media that what he saw actually happened near the intersection of Burrard and Davie Streets. He says he was overjoyed to hear a life was saved. The BC Health Coalition says it's disappointed that the Conservative Party of BC still hasn't delivered any definite answers on healthcare. A statement from the organization says it is urging the BC Conservatives to release a platform with a clear costing plan so that voters know what their plans are for public healthcare. The group says it plans to release a report card grading each party's healthcare platform next week. So far, the BC Conservatives have been difficult to grade. The group's director of policy and campaign says the BC Conservatives have a multi-million-dollar campaign budget, and so there is no reason that they still haven't released a clear plan. Richmond RCMP say they're investigating after 4 Sea-Doos were stolen in a 2-week period. Sea-Doos are personal watercraft vehicles. Police are asking anyone with information to call them. Corporal Adriana O'Malley says police are recommending anyone who stores their Sea-Doos in marinas over the winter to check in on them. They say the watercraft were taken from marinas located in the Moray Bridge area. The urban beekeeping is getting popular in Canada year by year. Our reporter Vivek Nakra has more on the story.
The beekeeping has been practiced in British Columbia for over 150 years. According to the BC government, beekeepers must be aware that colonies can be a nuisance to nearby residents and may involve medical and legal issues. Laurie Hughes, president of Richmond Beekeepers Association, explains what people should do before starting beekeeping.
It really requires initial investment, but it also requires some responsibility. So anybody that goes into urban beekeeping must become a little bit knowledgeable, maybe taking a course or two on beekeeping. Joining a club is helpful.
Hughes says that they encourage people to plant things that are helpful for pollinators to make a link between beekeeping and the gardening community. Vivek Nakra, BCIT's The Crow.
Vivek Nakra joins us live in studio. So Vivek, what are the benefits of urban beekeeping to communities?
Well, bees contribute to global food production, making it essential for agriculture and plant life. Bees also help pollinate flowers, plants, and trees, which can lead to healthier gardens and parks.
What steps are being taken to support the bees?
Well, there is more awareness being spread of what plants are required for the bees to pollinate. And also, beekeepers have to be concerned in terms of managing the natural life cycle of the bees.
And how is beekeeping different from other agriculture enterprises?
Beekeeping is highly dependent on seasonal availability of nectar and pollen. There are some other important factors such as management, presence of diseases and pests, and the quality of the bee stock.
Thank you, Vivek. The city of Delta plans to proceed with an expansion project at Winskill Park in Tawasin that will add a fourth baseball diamond. Our reporter, Keenan Tergaskas, has the details on how this affects all the sports playing at Winskill.
With Tawasin Baseball and Mixed Slow Pitch benefiting from the redesign, Winskill's disc golf group are losing their course. The layout of the diamonds forces the city to remove and replant the forest at the back of the park that is home to the disc golf course. Lucas Neretter, the president of the Tawasin Amateur Baseball Association, gives his support to the disc golf community as they search for a new location.
We will support them because we are an amateur sport association. We want to see sports in general pushed forward in the community, so we will support them in their pursuit for a new space as long as it falls within reason.
The city is working with the disc golf community to find a new location. Project preparations are set to begin soon. Keenan Tergaskas, BCIT's The Crow.
The Trans Mountain Pipeline reached a $20 million agreement with Burnaby City Hall. Reporter Tammy Mack explains what the deal is.
Burnaby City Hall and Trans Mountain Pipeline are collaborating on what the Trans Mountain Pipeline is calling a community contribution agreement. Burnaby Councillor Allison Gu says the media's coverage on it is misleading.
The wording of it is a little bit more draconian than what the reality will mean. Mayor and council will have every right to speak about the project, about the negative implications, essentially just tell the truth about the risk that the project continues to pose to the residents of Burnaby.
Councillor Gu emphasized that the agreement will not influence council decisions, and she maintains her position on the project. Tammy Mack, BCIT's The Crow.
As BC fast approaches the provincial election, politicians are looking for increased turnout from certain demographics. Our reporter, Ryan Bowles, has more on the turnout among young voters.
According to BC Census data, the 18 to 35 age group is quickly becoming the largest demographic in the province. Despite their size, they've tended to vote in record low numbers. Hamish Telford, a political science professor at the University of the Fraser Valley, says this could be because of a change in lifestyle.
Now, of course, most young people carry on with their education after high school into their 20s, and in some cases well into their 30s, like me. And this the theory is that this puts off adulthood in a certain way. And people are hanging out with their peers rather than working with people who are in their 40s, 50s, or 60s, as used to happen.
Telford says he tells his students they should vote because there isn't an aspect of their lives that isn't touched by politics. Ryan Bowles, BCIT's The Crow.
On to the latest in Hurricane Milton. President Joe Biden and American Vice President Kamala Harris discusses on the initial aftermath of Hurricane Milton. Biden called it devastating. Reporter Karen Travers has more.
President Biden said while it's too early to know the full account of the damage from Hurricane Milton, life-saving measures made a difference and search and rescue teams have been ready. The president says he's been on the phone with state and local officials, offering everything they need.
FEMA is going to open disaster recovery centers all across the impacted communities right away. So there's one stop the residents can go to learn about the support they might need, and they'll be advertised where those places are.
The number of confirmed tornadoes in Florida is expected to rise in the coming days as cleanup and recovery continue. TD Bank is paying $3 billion in money laundering settlement with the Justice Department. The U.S. authorities say the financial institution's lax practices allow significant money laundering over multiple years. Attorney General Merrick Garland said Canada-based TD Bank pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit money laundering. They happen to be the largest bank in U.S. history to do so. Justice Department prosecutors say the bank's failure to prevent money laundering made it convenient for criminals. Prosecutors say money laundering networks collectively transferred hundreds of millions of dollars through the bank accounts over the years. And finishing off with your weather, the clouds are clearing. Expect to see a considerable amount of sun with highs of 15 Celsius. And that has been your last news updates from me. I'm Gina Tang, and you have been listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikka-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikka-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon, sports fans. Grace Miller here with your 3:15 sports update. Straight over to baseball, the MLB National League Division Series continues today. We're at the top of the first with 0 runs and 1 out, and the Cleveland Guardians fight against elimination in Game 4 against the Detroit Tigers. This follows the Tigers beating the Guardians 3-0 last night for the second time in their NLD series. Later today, the New York Yankees and the Kansas City Royals will also have a deciding Game 4. The Yankees lead 2-1 in their NLD series at Game 4, happening today at 5 o'clock. Over to tennis, 22-time Grand Slam champion Rafael Nadal has announced his retirement from tennis following next month's Davis Cup finals. He cites multiple injuries throughout his career as his reason for retirement. Associated Press reporter Tom Rivers has more on Nadal's career.
An absolute joy to watch, an absolute joy for me to cover for years out at Wimbledon. Rafa Nadal, plagued by injuries, says come next month he'll retire from tennis after the Davis Cup finals. What a player, what an athlete with 22 Grand Slam titles under his belt. Those victories in an unprecedented era he shared with his rivals in the so-called Big Three, including Roger Federer and Novak Djokovic. Tom Rivers, ABC News at the Foreign Desk.
To more in baseball, the Tampa Bay Rays say it may take weeks to fully assess the damage to Tropicana Field following Hurricane Milton's landfall. Last night, the roof was ripped to shreds by the force of the deadly storm as it barreled across much of Florida. The team said no one was injured when the ballpark was struck by the storm, though a handful of essential personnel were inside as roof panels were blown apart. Much of the debris fell inside the field and seats below. To local baseball, the city of Delta has announced plans for a 4th baseball diamond expansion project at Winsill Park in Tawasin. Our reporter Keenan Tergaskas has the details on how this affects all sports playing at Winskill.
With Tawasin baseball and mixed slow pitch benefiting from the redesign, Winskill's disc golf group are losing their course. The layout of the diamonds forces the city to remove and replant the forest at the back of the park that is home to the disc golf course. Lucas Neretter, the president of the Tawasin Amateur Baseball Association, gives his support to the disc golf community as they search for a new location.
We will support them because we are an amateur sport association. We want to see sports in general pushed forward in the community, so we will support them in their pursuit for a new space as long as it falls within reason.
The city is working with the disc golf community to find a new location. Project preparations are set to begin soon. Keenan Tergaskas, BCIT's The Crow.
In big basketball news, the WNBA Finals tip off at 5 o'clock. The Minnesota Lynx face off against the New York Liberty. So far, the Liberty are a heavy betting favorite to win the series. Minnesota finished 2 games behind New York during the regular season. They've won just 3 of 4 matchups against New York this year. This will be the first time in 7 years that the Lynx has made it to the finals. Thursday night football is also underway today at 8:15. Seattle Seahawks kick off against the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle Seahawks lead against the 49ers with a 3-2 record heading into tonight's game. In other football news, the New York Jets interim coach Jeff Albrecht addressed the media today to discuss the decision to strip offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett of his play-calling duties. Albrecht said Todd Downing will call offensive plays.
It was obviously not necessarily a shock, but we all are familiar with the relationship he has with Nathaniel, and they're very, very good friends that go back a long way. So he understood the decision, and he was supportive of the decision.
Hackett is close to Jets quarterback Aaron Rodgers and will remain the offensive line coordinator in title, but is taking a backseat to Downing in what's now an undefined role. Over to NHL news, the Montreal Canadiens move forward to play the Boston Bruins today at 4. Their lineup now includes Finnish forward Oliver Kapanen. It will be Kapanen's NHL debut. That has been your sports update. I'm Grace Miller from BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Would you like to take JT Miller out for a beer after seeing him pull off a Gordie Howe hat trick? Or bring Thatcher Demko a cup of chicken noodle soup so that the Canucks can go a game this season without letting 6 biscuits into the net? Try minor league sports. You can learn to love players that are still building their skill set to reach the NHL, and you'll actually receive a reply from comments you leave on their social media. Let's be OG sports fans and watch the future superstars from the beginning of their careers instead of just paying attention to their later stuff. Let's bring back minor league sports. Using the NHL's Vancouver Canucks and WHL's Vancouver Giants as our primary example here, we see massive benefits from supporting local. Already, tickets for the Canucks are ranging from $70 to $1,000 for a single ticket. Whereas if I want to go support my favorite neighborhood forward, Thais Sparks on the Giants, I can just pay $785 for center ice front row season tickets. I'll get the chance to already know the majority of the players because I shop in the grocery stores with their moms. I'll get to see them play more often without going into debt over a game and plane ticket prices. Eventually, I'll get to hear about their big NHL successes, and you know what? I'll actually care more because I've seen them through their entire career. I'll even maybe have a better shot at betting odds. Let's bring back the classic community rallying around a minor league sports team, albeit likely resulting in a fiery town rivalry against the Calgary Wranglers. Let's watch more local sports. I'm Grace Miller, and that was your sports comment of the day for BCIT's The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in.